Happy Father's Day, Commanders fans. You are watching the Commanders Report. I am your host, Jack Sperry. On today's show, I'm going to be breaking down my top 5 list of the potential breakout candidates for your Washington Commanders heading into the 2023 season. But before we get into that, shout out your dad down in the comments section. Type your dad's first name down there for me to show some love to your dad, okay? And I'm going to give my little shout out here. Ricky Lynn Sperry, I love you, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for everything you've done in my life. Now let's get to today's video. All right, now let's talk a little bit about some breakout candidates, starting with the second-year quarterback, Sam Howell. And now Howell is the biggest question mark you could possibly have heading into the season. It is the most important position, and really you don't have any clue whether or not Sam Howell is going to pan out in the National Football League or not. He played one game last year against the Dallas Cowboys defense that played their starters. Okay, so they had their guys on the field, but it was mostly like a preseason type defense. They played a lot of country cover 3, which you never see in NFL defenses nowadays. Same thing with country cover 2. It was super vanilla. You really only see those types of coverages in preseason games, and that's what Sam Howell was going up against. So I want to see how Howell really adjust to defensive coordinators trying against him, right? So all these rotating coverages, disguising coverages. I want to see how he processes that mental aspect of the game here now that he is the bona fide QB1 of this team. And then also the throwing mechanics last year were still not great. It looks like he's cleaned up some of that heading into training camp this year, which is really, really good to see. The reports coming out of OTAs and mandatory minicamp were really, really good. But here's the reality, folks. If you're saying to me, you are 100% certain that Sam Howell's going to work out in the NFL, you're freaking crazy. You're kidding yourself, okay? Because there's just not the evidence on tape right now that says this kid is absolutely 100% going to work out in the National Football League. However, on the other side of the spectrum there, if you tell me that you're 100% certain he's not going to work out in this league, then you're also just as crazy because he's got those physical abilities. He's got a good arm. You know, he's got the ability to run the football and make plays. The people in the locker room and the coaching staff clearly believe in this kid, which is why they didn't draft somebody in this year's NFL draft. They believe in Sam Howell, and because of that, I'm going to take their word for it right now, and I'm going to go into the season optimistic about Sam Howell's prospects, about potentially breaking out because he certainly has the physical skill set to do so, and I'm very excited to see what happens, even though it's not a for sure thing heading into the season. So let me know down in the comments section, will Sam Howell boom or will he bust going into the 2023 season? Type boom or type bust in all caps down there in the comment section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so here's what's going to happen. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple seconds. Answer today's pinned question and take advantage of that time there by giving me a boom or a bust down there on today's pinned comment. Number 2 on my list of breakout candidates here for 2023 is Chase Young. And this is something that Commanders fans have been waiting ever since they drafted Chase Young, number 2 overall, back in the 2020 NFL Draft. Now, here's my scouting report on Chase Young and the kind of the areas that he can get better in. Number 1, he needs to get better at pass rushing finesse. Now, what do I mean by that? It's all the different moves, the hand fighting, the ability to win with finesse and not just power, not just being able to bull rush somebody, not just being able to run around somebody like he was able to do at Ohio State. Chase Young has not been able to develop a pass rushing plan to this point in his career, and it's really hurt his sack numbers in 2021 and 2022. Now, yes, he only played in a couple games in those seasons, but only 1.5 sacks in those games, and that's just not going to cut it. Right now, he reminds me a lot of actually Jadeveon Clowney, who is not the best pass rusher in the world, but he's a great run defender. Chase Young is still really smart. He's still really strong. He's still a great run defender, and he's an okay pass rusher. And, you know, even if he's not a great pass rusher this season, you still got Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne and Montez Sweat. All of those guys can get after the quarterback. All right, but if Chase Young wants to remain a Commander after this season, he's going to have to prove that he is the alpha in the room. The way he does that is he learns how to develop a plan as a pass rusher. If he does that, the sky's the limit for Mr. Chase Young. So he could absolutely be, or this D-line, this pass rush could absolutely be the best in the NFL heading into 2023 if Chase Young really realizes his potential here, because you already have Montez Sweat, who broke out last year. Same thing with Deron Payne. He got the bag this offseason. And then Jonathan Allen's been one of the best interior pass rushers for a couple of years now. If you add an elite Chase Young to that mix, you are not going to be able to block this Commanders pass rush, and it's going to be one of the best in the National Football League, if not the best. So let me know what you guys think about Chase Young down in the comments right now for me. Will he have double-digit sacks this year? Will he be over or under 9.5 sacks? Type O if you think he's going to be over 9.5, or if you think he's going to be under here, type U down there in the comments. Number 3 on my list, Emmanuel Forbes, the rookie cornerback out of Mississippi State. 6 pick sixes, an NCAA record during his time there in Mississippi State. And this guy's a playmaker. This guy's one of the best playmaking cornerbacks I have ever evaluated coming into the NFL out of college. He just has a nose for the football. He's got some of the best acceleration out of any cornerback that I have seen coming in. And yes, he's skinny. Yes, he might get exposed a little bit against the screen game, against the run game, those sorts of things where bigger receivers are going to be able to bully him a little bit. But in coverage, in this Jack Del Rio zone-heavy off-coverage scheme, it's a perfect fit here. It's a match made in heaven. He keeps making plays. He kept making plays at OTAs and minicamp, multiple pick sixes, and even more interceptions. It seemed like every single day he had a pick for himself. And for me, I definitely think he's going to be a candidate to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. If anybody is going to be the Sauce Gardner of this year's class, and listen, that's really hard to do. A lot of people are already calling Sauce the best cornerback in the National Football League right now. It's going to be Emmanuel Forbes, because he's in a perfect system that he's going to be able to come into right away. I think he's going to establish himself as the number 1 cornerback in this room right away, and I think it's a pretty darn good cornerback room here in Washington. I think he's going to be the alpha from day one, and I think that come season's end, he's going to have 5, 6 interceptions. He might take a couple of them to the house. He's a former wide receiver. His ball skills are off the charts. I'm so excited to see Emmanuel Forbes break out here in his rookie season. So if you think he's going to win Rookie of the Year here on the defensive side of the ball in the National Football League, type yes. Or if you don't think he's going to win, you think Forbes or somebody else is going to win the award this year, type no for me down in the comment section. And now let's talk a little bit about a wide receiver here, Jahan Dotson, out of Penn State University. Last season was a really nice addition to the Commanders' wide receiver room alongside Terry McLaurin. Led the team in touchdown receptions with 7 last year. 523 yards, maybe not super impressive there in 12 games played. But when Dotson was on the field, he was a difference maker. And to me, Jahan Dotson reminds me a lot of a guy like Stephon Diggs, someone that does it all from the wide receiver position, but they're not exactly the tallest or the biggest guy on the field. He's a great route runner. He's great after the catch. The ability to like snatch a ball out of the air, the body control, the hands, really, really good for a player of his size at 5'11", 182 pounds. I think he's going to have a great breakout season this year, and he's going to be right up there with Terry McLaurin in terms of yards, in terms of touchdown receptions. I think he's going to be kind of a 1A or kind of a 1B, to Terry McLaurin's 1A in this wide receiver room. And especially if Sam Howell turns out to break out this season, Jahan Dotson's going to absolutely explode in 2023. Now let's round out this list of breakout candidates with one of my favorite players on the entire Washington Commanders roster, and that's Jamin Davis, the inside linebacker. Now, inside linebacker is one of those positions. It's kind of like tight end on the offensive side of the ball, where if you have an elite tight end, receiving tight end, it's a complete game changer. It's the same thing with inside linebacker. Just look at the impact that Bobby Wagner has had on the defenses throughout his career. If you have an elite inside linebacker, you can really protect the middle of the field, which is huge when defending these modern offenses with all these crossing routes. Having a guy like Jamin Davis, who's one of the most athletic inside linebackers in the league on your team, can certainly make a difference. And last year in the second half, Jamin really came into his own, finished with 104 tackles and 3 sacks. He looked way more confident firing in zone coverage against the run, filling his lane. He looked so much better in the second half of last season. And I think he's going to take that confidence into 2023. Definitely going to be the number 1 guy in this inside linebacker room right now. I mean, even if he's just okay, I don't think it's going to make or break this team, because I think the secondary is really good. I think the pass rush is going to be fantastic. But if you can have that impact player in the middle that just takes this defense to a whole nother level. So let me know down in the comment section, did I miss anyone on my list of Commanders breakout candidates for 2023? Which Commanders player do you think is going to break out? Let me know down there in the comment section. That's going to be it for me today, guys. If you are a real one, make sure you type real one in all caps down there in the comment section. Really do appreciate all the support. And to all the dads out there, happy Father's Day. I will see you guys later. And as always, hail to the Commanders.